What challenges or peer pressures did you face?
I had the challenges, I guess, for me were like anybody in a teenager would be to fit in. I liked to hunt and fish, but I was not athletic. Now, understand, this is 1960s. And so I wasn't on a football team in high school. I was in junior high. And I didn't quite fit into the kind of what I would call a false super macho society, because all the guys were talking about being guys, and I thought, well, that's okay, but my interests were beyond that. So that was a peer pressure to fit in. I think everybody faces that, so I did, and I sympathize with you. I felt kind of out of place, really. I liked music, which most of the guys didn't, and I liked to play and make music, and I finally realized in high school that sort of a way I could have an identity was to do that in a really bad high school band, but at least it was something that I could do and enjoy that. And I found in high school I found a little bit more, some number of folks that I felt a little closer with. But one thing, we were all afraid of the bullies, and those folks were better students than I was. So to stay with those people, I kind of had to work hard and study hard, which was not a big deal, but was something that I wanted to do. So I never felt like I had a real strong group of friends. And that may be something that you feel too, even though you probably have more friends than you know, because everybody's kind of wondering, do they fit in? And I wondered that too. So that was some of the peer pressure I felt when I was in school.
Yeah, what hairstyles were popular when you were young?
Well, flat tops were big. And I had a flat top when I was a kid. And it was flat. I had a lot of hair. And the hair grows about an inch and a half, and they cut it flat more or less this way and down. That was the big style. And then, gosh, the girls had what we call sort of helmet hair, a lot of hairspray, and the big rollers at night. And if you ever, first time I ever, besides the girl feeling weird, up close, I touched her hair and it felt real, like it was metal, you know. I couldn't believe it had much hairspray on it. It's weird. It's very annoying. So that was one. And when the Beatles got popular, kids started wearing their hair kind of like you do now, which looks normal, but then it was, woo, kind of big time. So short haircut, if you ever seen movies made in the 60s, they're pretty good about authentic looking like that. Guys had basically short hair, and the women had long hair, but not down past here. Usually they'd flip it up or roll it. That's about all I remember. I was not a big stylist.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
That's a good question. The space race was on big time in the 60s, and the big thing to be was an aerospace engineer. And I had a brother-in-law. I'd married my younger sister, youngest. She's 10 years older than I, but she was the younger sister. And he went to Georgia Tech, and that was the place to go. I mean, you could get a job right out of Georgia Tech for making, $10,000. That's a lot of money in 62. But after physics and calculus and chemistry in high school, I realized that was not my career path. And mathematics, I was not good at that. So in my senior year, I decided to audition for a music scholarship and ended up being a musician. But the big thing was to be something in engineering. There are a lot of guys in our class who actually, 2 or 3 of them actually became engineers. That was the thing to be. I didn't. I became a musician. So that's what I wanted to be when I grew up.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have 2 sisters. They're both still alive. One is 20 years older than I am, and the other is 10 years older. And I have a niece who's only 4 years younger than I am, so my family's spread out pretty much. I was the youngest. I was born in 1946. My mother was 42 years old, and that was a horrendous scandal in the little church where they were when she was pregnant. A 42-year-old woman then was just amazing. The rumors flew around the church that I would come out and be completely mentally challenged in every way. And the genie's back there. The jury is still out on that, I know. And she was a very smart, very intelligent, and very smart-mouthed person. And she didn't like it a bit that women said that about her. My dad told me these stories many years ago, after she died. So she talked back to the women, if she could catch them talking about her being pregnant, which did not bode well in that little church. And when I got my doctorate in 1976, she read that thing, every word, and she took a copy of it and showed it to everybody she came up to. Now, the women who'd complained were long gone, but she was so proud that I had gotten a doctorate, showing them that I was not a complete idiot. Complete being the working word, I guess.
What did you play in high school in the band?
I played the clarinet. I was one of 3 clarinets.
Did you have a marching band?
We did. It was very bad. I'm serious. It was a very bad marching band.
Yeah.
We could all fit in a van or something. It was pretty awful. And the football team was pretty awful too. So.
And then growing with all the political stuff happening when you were that age, did you ever take a part in any of it, or was it just sort of happening around you?
When I was in high school, I didn't at all. The only political thing I did when we were seniors, the group I'd been running with decided to elect a guy, president student body. Hadn't met a guy in a while, which was unusual back then. So we picked out a candidate we thought that would be a good candidate. And it was sort of the guys versus the girls. And I remember this fondly because it was a great campaign. We had David Hudson, the guy who got in the fight that I got out of, had a dad who had a plane. This is 64. And he flew over the campus one day of the high school and dropped leaflets down. And I had an electric train, and I put it in the dining hall and had a little thing. And it was a big time. In fact, the principal made us stop spending money on the campaigns because he thought it was good and overwhelming. And we liked it, the guy. He won, and everybody was good friends. We all had a big dance, and I danced. With the woman who actually a girl ran against him. It was fun. So that was my big political thing in high school, yeah.
Cool.
Not national politics.
Yeah.
Somebody asked earlier about school dances, so tell us a little bit about school dances.
We had a few school dances. The big thing was the prom, the junior-senior prom. I think it's still something you may do here. And you ask your date like months ahead, months. So I got my courage up and asked this girl that I'd sort of been dating. The prom was like in April. I asked her in like January. Bad idea. I'd sort of been dating her. So between January and April, we like break up. There wasn't much to break up, but we broke up or whatever. So, but I didn't have the guts enough or whatever, and she didn't either, to call off the prom date. And it was fine. I mean, I had another buddy of mine. We got together and cleaned up the car and everything. The actual dance was in an Atlanta hotel. And we hired a band. And everybody went, and everybody dressed up evening gowns, and we rented tuxedos. There's a lot of money. And Carol was her name. I actually got back with her on Facebook, and she's still single, so I must have broken her heart or something. I don't know. Jeannie's roll. I did that, so Jeannie is there roll her eyes. And so we went. John, somebody had a date, and we went, and we actually had a pretty good time, and took him home early, and we got home early. We didn't go out and do anything wild, but that was the big thing to go to. There were some school dances after ball games and stuff, but they were not real big deals.
Tell us about how you met and fell in love with Madeline.
When I went to college, I went to a small Baptist school in northwest Georgia named Shorter College. It had been a school kind of like Belmont had here, a school originally for women in the South. After the war between states, the education system in the South, what was left of it, was pretty bad off. And so various fairly wealthy people would start little schools for women as a place to educate them. Pretty progressive, actually. And the women would come, and they would go 2, 3, 4 years, finally, get a degree, and they would be educated really to be an educated partner for an educated man in the South. It was all kind of regional, but some of those women went on to be very prominent. This school had been that and nearly closed in the 50s. Had admitted men, which was a horrendous crime for all those dear ladies who toddled around driving their big Cadillacs. But anyway, by 1962 or 3, there were enough men there that it became known as a co-educational school. And so I went there on a scholarship in music. And the first year, I dated some, went out with some of the girls, and mostly in the School of Music. Second year, I was on some kind of locker assignment deal where you assign lockers for music majors. And I saw this girl get out of a car and come walking toward me, and with just a little bit of makeup, she still looks exactly the same. And just as loud and completely without any shame whatsoever. The woman is just crazy. And so we all began to tease her about being, I understand, she knows. We all began to tease her about being from Tennessee. We thought, hick Tennessee. And of course, she took it as attention from a guy, which of course it was. And so something made me assign her locker and mine together so I could see her more. And the rest is sort of history. We dated pretty seriously my sophomore year, her freshman year. And then I felt like it was getting too serious. Guys don't like to make too many decisions. So I backed off and we kind of broke up. We still had the locker together, which was kind of weird. But I dated other girls in high school and actually graduated, and we were still friends, but had not gotten back together. In my first year out of college, we got back together, and I proposed in April of 1969, and we married in October. We've been married 41 years and a few days since then, which is pretty shocking to a lot of folks, but that's true, and it is a great move, absolutely. She is a different personality than I am. You all know her. I'm quiet, reserved, polished, and, sophisticated. And she absolutely cannot find anything in the house and will start 19 sentences before she finishes them. She's an extrovert. She's like her father was that way. And they are dear people. They both just passed away. Our mother did just a few weeks ago. Very much have loved and respected her over those 41 years. My mother told me something about getting married. I'll tell that to you is when you marry somebody, you want to marry somebody whom you can look out over the breakfast table for the rest of your life. And we had a teacher in college who also gave some good advice. She said, I will edit this out some, Jeannie, but she said, baby, you look for character. She was actually Hungarian. She says, baby, other things, they come and go. Character, baby. Character, baby. And she told Madeline, she says, that David, he has character. So 41 years later, we're still together. Love her very, very much and respect her too. That's important in a marriage. And that's the way we met. And so there we are. And I still tease her about being in Tennessee.